दे दो because
Yes,
this is
ma'am.
important. So we are studying what? Huygens principle.
Okay.
What Huygens principle says? If this is my locus is what? Source. I have just given a drop on the water. It produces what? Wave. Wave is in the form of what? Spherical. Clear? Now, if this is my locus, this is the black dotted lines are what? Surface of water.
Water.
Okay? The inner, on the surface, we have not put the camera inside the water. We have put the camera above the water. Because of that reason, we are just seeing the ripples which is producing above the water. We can't able to see the ripple is producing above the water. With same radius, the ripple is creating.
I can't hear you.
I am saying that ripples which is producing inside the water, whatever the radius is there, the same radius of the ripple is producing outside the water also.
Water. Okay.
So if I am taking as a ripple 1, rate of radius R1, we have just seen in the demonstration of this this video, that here this is what happened when we drop first drop it, the ripple, the radius of the first ripple is much more greater. You can see that depth here. It's so deep than the second, than the third, than the fourth, than the fifth, and this radius you can see so small. That radius of the ripple is so small as compared to your first you can see so big ripple radius is there.
Yes.
Understood? So what is the conclusion? The conclusion is that the radius of my first wave is always greater than the radius of the second wave, R2, and is greater than the radius of your third wave, that is R3, is greater than the radius of the fourth wave. So as we are going away from the locus to my Rn radius, this Rn will become 0 at last. Because of that reason, the wave disappears. If we throw a stone on the pond, after a certain period of time, the wave disappears.
The wave disappears.
Why? Because the Rn value is now what? Total 0. Now there is no. So as we go away from my locus, as we go away, as this radius increases, the wavefront's radius what? Decreases.
Yes, yes.
Understood? As we increases, as the radius of the wavefronts, all my waves increases, as we go far away from my locus, the radius of my wavefronts goes on decreasing. And at last, it will become what? My 0.
0.
Is this clear?
Yes.
And you might have observed from this video also, or if you have played throwing a stone in the pond, you might have seen that the amplitude of my wave is going forward. There is no reverse. Then you will say, ma'am, now see here, reverse is coming. But this reverse is created because they strike with the frame. And when the water is coming, you can see the water is coming. Wait a minute. Now the water is coming here in the front way. Correct?
Oh,
So
yes.
whenever the flow of any of the wave is always my front amplitude. Back amplitude is always 0. Is this clear? We are saying only the amplitude of my front wave front. back amplitude is always what? My
0.
0. No back amplitude. Is this clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Pakka?
Ah,
Very good. Now, this theory is applied for everybody. Everybody. Whether it is a sound, suppose if you are doing puja, we are just ringing the bell. So the source, the locus is what? The bell. It produces the wave. The wave is going what? To
forward.
certain distance. And as the distance increases, the radius of
The
my
radius.
ringing of the bell also decreases.
Yes.
Correct? If we blow a shank, the locus is what? The shank. And the distance as we go away from the shank, we hear the less sound. If we are talking the bell as a source, if that is my locus, as we go away from the room, as we go to the next room, we can't able to see the light. Because if the distance increases, the radius of my wavefronts also decreases. Is this clear? So this is applicable for all. If we go to the Pluto, hardly we can see the light of the sun.
Yeah.
Correct?
We
Because
can't see.
Pluto is very far away from the sun. Okay. So distance increases, radius or the wavefront decreases. So it is this theory is applicable for everybody.
Anything. Yes.
Okay. And though these type of waves are what? My light is a wave of what? Transverse wave. And my sound is a longitudinal wave. Because of that reason, we can't able to hear the sound in vacuum, and light can be propagated in the vacuum. One more thing that you have to study. Light is a form of a what? Electromagnetic waves. I hope that this thing I have already taught you. Why light is the electromagnetic waves? Yes, baby. In the first lecture. Because the light is what? Electric signals. Light is in the form of what? Electric signals. And with the wherever there is an electric signal, there will be a magnetic signals. So electric, yeah, electro is what? Electrical field, and magnetic is what because of the magnetic field. This thing I have taught you. And both are perpendicular.
I remember.
Now you remember? Very good.
Yes.
So notes has been given to you. Okay, so you have to go through that. So this is the Huygens. This principle has been, this is just the hypothesis. Huygens has not proved this thing. Huygens has just given the hypothesis that this happens. But at that time of when the Huygens has given this hypothesis, that time is of Newton. Because Newton says that light travels only in a straight line. But Huygens says that true, light travels in a straight line, but it is in the form of a wave. But he can't able to prove that.
Okay.
Understood? He can't able to prove that. Because of that reason, everyone has said, Huygens has said nothing. Ignore him. Understood? But de Broglie was there. He said that, not de Broglie, Huygens. In fact, de Broglie also, both the scientists were there. They said that no, there is something in this hypothesis, whatever Huygens has said. So, my Huygens sir has done one experiment with the help of the light. Because we know that it's sunlight or any of the light is a what? White light, we are saying. We are talking about the white light. White light is a what? Made up of 7 different colors. So who proved this thing? Huygens sir has proved this thing. That's true. White light has a 7 colors. How? He has made one experiment that you have. That is Huygens double slit experiment and Huygens single slit experiment. Now, what is the Huygens experiment says? Huygens experiment says that there are 2 experiments he has done. One is the double slit experiment. Another is the single slit experiment. Double slit experiment is known as what? My interference. And single slit experiment is known as what? Diffraction. Understood this part?
Okay.
Before studying this, you should have to know that what is the source, what is known as the source, how many type of sources are there, what happens to the waves, what happens if waves intersect with each other. These things you should have to know. For that, we will start about the sources. Before that, you can't able to understand Young's experiment. Now, what is source?
Okay.
Source is of two types. One is what my coherent source and another is known as what incoherent source.
Incoherent.
What is the meaning of coherent source? The source by which all the waves are coming out in the same phase.
Okay.
This is what phase. Crest.
Same face.
Crest. If all, and here is my bulb. If all my source waves are coming out from the same phase, that source is known as what? Incoherent source. And if this is my source and my waves are not in same phase, this is coherent, this is positive, this is negative, this is positive, different. So this type of is known as what? Incoherent source.
Incoherent.
It means the waves are what? Out of phase. And this is what? Same phase.
This.
Understood? If my source coming from this source is known as what? Incoherent source. And if we add all my waves, what I said? If I add all my waves, suppose this is 2 amplitude, this is also 2 amplitude, this is 3 amplitude. The resultant will be what? The resultant wave will be what? 2 to 4, 5, 6, 7.
7.
Amplitude. So addition in physics is always known as what? Superposition. Correct?
Okay. Yes.
So superposition of my coherent source. What I said? Superposition of my coherent source. Same phase. Okay?
Yes.
Is known as what? Constructive interference.
Constructive interference.
Is it clear?
Now can you repeat it now?
Addition of my same phase. Same phase is coming from where? Coherent source.
Coherent source.
Okay. Either it is all sources are from starting from crest or all sources are starting from trough. Doesn't matter. It should be same phase.
Same phase.
If all my sources are of same phase,
Same
that is from
phase.
coherent source, if we add all those waves, then the whatever the new wave, resultant wave will come, that will be what? Constructive. That superposition of the waves is known as what? Constructive.
Okay, constructive
Just
interference.
example, my laser beam. My laser is so small, but it goes too far.
Okay.
Why? Because they are multiplying with itself. Because of same phase.
Yes.
That is known as what? Constructive interference.
Interference.
Suppose if this is 2, and this is 4. So this is minus, this is plus, this is plus. The resultant will be what? Is 0. Okay. So the resultant will be what? R is equals to 0. No source. So this is known as what? Incoherent source. Okay. And the superposition is known as what? Destructive interference.